All right. So we're going to start off. This is lesson 4, part 1. We're going to start talking about assignment number 2 kind of informally now. Again, this is due a couple weeks from now, October 10th. And you may say, hey, a couple weeks, Tom. That's not a long time, because, you gave us 4 weeks kind of for assignment number 1. You're right? But now you should know about drag and drop interfaces. You should know more about how to design your assignment a little bit more than you did before. Still due at midnight. Still with 15%. Again, what is it? You're going to create a project that determines the total amount due for the purchase of a vehicle based on accessories and options selected and the trade-in value, if any. And the price of the car will be set by the user. So example would be, and I gave some examples here, stereo system, and then, $425.76, right? And I put this little Excel example here, leather interior and so on. What I really want you to do is, and again, I want you to pick a car that, of your choice. Don't go crazy. And I'm not telling you, look at all the examples. Like if you pick a GM car, you'll never finish your assignment. There's just too many options for GM, right? And a lot of the cars nowadays have tons and tons of options. So imagine those build your own car on the internet kind of thing. You can go on any site like BMW or Honda even or whatever, and you can build your car, right? And it'll actually change the color and all that kind of stuff and whatever. Do I need that kind of functionality? No. But I want you to get some of the more modern options and incorporate them into your code for assignment number 2. That's what I'm expecting. It doesn't say it here. I'm talking to you about it on the video, and I'm going to continue talking about it over the next week or so. So that's the expectation. And I'm giving you the requirements. So some of you may say, well, Tom, you didn't say what kind of car, kind of thing. You've given us this little example. Is that the one? Is that what you want? And the answer is no. I want you to pick a car of your choice and give me some real-life options that car has and real pricing. Okay? So.
But this is for a current vehicle, like a 2013?
2013 vehicle. Pick one. Don't pick 5 options of one. Just one vehicle, one set of options for that vehicle. And then that vehicle is going to give you real prices and stuff. I don't need you to create a lease compared to a purchase. Just go with one, right? Yeah.
Now the user sets the price of the vehicle?
No. You said, here's the vehicle. You're picking this vehicle. Now, if you want to give more than one vehicle, bonus. I'll give you the bonus for that. And I told you before, there's bonus opportunities in every assignment, right? So what I'm looking for this one is, you've got a vehicle, so to meet, your marks, right? Not to get any bonus. You got a vehicle, and you pick your options. And then it gives you the tax rate, 13%. And then, on the top of that, you're going to be able to use a menu as well as buttons. And so we're going to talk about that over the next week or so, how to share menu options and buttons, the same methods. So shared functions or procedures, sorry about that, as opposed to using individual ones or rewriting the same code again. So that's what this is really saying. Here's the kind of menu that I want. I want you to have an exit, an option in the menu, and if you notice that little underscore is basically showing you that you should also have the shortcut keys for the menu also programmed. Okay, so here's the menu, here's the options. And so let's look at some of the requirements. Your Windows Form application will include the following components. For 11 marks functionality, 9 marks GUI, add text boxes and associated labels. I don't tell you how many because I want you to be creative, all right? To the form for base price and trade-in allowance and all this kind of stuff, right? Add text boxes and associated labels to the form for additional options, subtotal, sales tax, amount due. So obviously what you're going to be doing here is there's going to be some calculation just like there was for your first assignment, but there's a little bit more, right? Include a menu for your form as shown above. Now, when I say as shown above, that's the minimum that I'm requiring. If you add other items because you're making your form more interactive or if it's going to be more interesting, then it has to make sense, right? And I want it so that, think about this as a little app that you're going to create for yourself. Here's another challenge for you. Try and do it so that the app, again, is, mobile ready. So it's the size 320 by 480. Don't make it 640 by 480. Try that, because really in the real world, and I told you before, desktop apps are cool, right? But mobile apps are the flow, right? So start making stuff from the mobile viewport, okay? Look at it from mobile. See if you can make it. It doesn't have to be adaptable, okay, right now. We're not asking for that, and, you know, we're writing it in C#, so, and it's not really for mobile. So if you just made it for a portrait format, that's fine. When you create your wireframes, I want it for that, okay? So try 320 by 480. I haven't set it up here, or something that's mobile compatible, and try and lay things out in that format, right? How do we do that, right? Okay, if you can't do it, right, I haven't set it here, so I'm not going to dock you. I'm not going to say, well, they didn't do it even though I said it. Okay, here's my minimum requirements again. These are the things that I'm looking for at the minimum. If you add extra stuff, you're going to get bonus, right? When the font or color menu selection is clicked, apply the user's font and color changes to the amount due and base price and stuff. You know, I need you to do this only to meet the requirements. Do I think it's a cool option? I think it's a crappy option, right? I think it's ugly, yeah.
What was the size?
320 by 480 is like the smallest non-retina display you can probably get to, right? So then, you know, when the About menu selection is clicked, the application will display a message box that gives a short summary of the application's function. Example, this program calculates the amount due on a new or used vehicle. But what if, and this is some advanced users, they say, well, what if I want to make my own message box and message functionality, and you want to create your own customized form for that? I'm okay with that too. So you don't have to use a message box. Again, what I say here up here is the minimum requirements that I'm asking you for your app, okay? This isn't something that I'm forcing you to do and say, I'm asking you to do this. On an exam, yeah, do this, because you're not going to have time to do anything other than this. Just won't have the time to be fancy, chances are, right? Unless you're like a superstar, right? So I'm asking just for this. Add a group box, and then with the form, with a text property of additional items, and so on. And I've given you some requirements that are pretty straightforward. And I've also, if you scroll way, way down, I've kind of given you an example of the desktop version of this form. But how would you make it so that all these labels and text and so on, and again, we're doing a single form application again. How could you make it so you reformat this for 320 by 480? So I want you to think about this, all right? Because this might be a problem for you without having to go to multiple screens, all right? You could also make it a tabbed application. I'm not covering tabbed application right now. It's available. If you actually skim forward and look on the web, you can actually get the information for how to create a tabbed application, right? Even for C#. If you want to do that, that would work great too from a 320 by 480 view. Yes.
As I've been already thinking of the tabbed application, the file system, the menu system you have, does it need to be an actual menu bar that you want?
It doesn't have to be. I said that's the minimum requirements.
Okay.
Minimum. So if you said, and if you document, if you make changes, you say, Tom, you asked me for blah, and then I did blah plus. Please document these things. Hey, so tonight, if you haven't handed in your assignment yet, and you've done these extra things, and I don't know, because you know it's not 100% like blindly evident that it's going to happen. I might not give you the bonus unless you tell me, right? So have a section in your documentation, please, and you can always re-update your documentation now if you haven't done this, right? Where it says for assignment number 1, hey Tom, I put in these options, bop, 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 so I can give you some of the bonus, right? So if you have done that, if you haven't done any bonus work and you're like, hey, what is he talking bonus? I didn't do any bonus. It's okay, man. It's all right. You did if you meet your assignment, I'm good, right? I'm just saying there's people that are going to do this. I'm not telling you anywhere in assignment number 2 to do 320 by 480 or some kind of mobile compatible, screen size here. I'm not telling you to do that. If you do it though, I'm telling you that you're going to get a bonus, right? Okay, clear? So this is an example, and this is an ugly form that's for desktop. If I see this coming back at me, you're going to get the minimal marks. Minimal. You'll pass. Don't worry. But what I want is you to create something, a wireframe, like we talked about before. So if you look at your external or internal requirements, so here's your app requirements. Here's your internal documentation. Make sure you do all your comments and headers and everything else as normal. Here's your external document, a company logo. Hey, doesn't this look stupidly the same? Like you just made this external document already for assignment number 1. You can reuse it, right? That's the whole idea behind it. I'm not asking you to make a new logo. I need a table of contents, a brief description, a wireframe. The wireframe obviously is going to be different than for this one because it's a new app, right? And you know, and any other thing that goes around with it. Like if you're doing mind mapping for this app, like we talked about in other classes, you know, any kind of your design notes, you know, those kind of things. The more you include in your documentation and you get used to doing as you go, the better it is for you as a designer and you know, I'm talking about a software developer, because this is all the process. And by the way, it also proves that it's you, right? That's not, you didn't hire somebody from another country to do it for you, right? Or crowdsourced it, right? This is you. And in real life, you know, I'm sorry to tell you this, but in our country right now, in Canada, the challenge that we have is there's a lot of other countries out there that it's cheaper for us to produce software by crowdsourcing it in other countries. And I don't think it's a wrong thing, because, you know, some companies require that. And maybe your role in the future isn't going to be actually developing software, but actually doing code reviews, right? Because I think that there's a spot for that as well, almost like managing the software development as opposed to actually doing the software development. And that's fine. But I think the great thing is, one thing that we do really, really well here in Canada, and in the States too, is documentation. And that's not something that they do as well, so far in my experience, that they do offshore, right? So definitely you're going to be impacted by offshoring. Learn how to do this stuff. Technical documentation is, it's a job on itself, right? And you know what? It's part of our requirements as we continuously, you know, focus on continuous improvement, okay? Because remember, the software design life cycle is going to be your plan, right? And when you start doing the project management stuff, you're going to develop a time frame for your development plan. And we haven't talked about that because I'm not linking in right now to project management, but that's what you would do. Here's your time frame, what's your budget, right, and so on. And then here's my milestones. This is what I want to get by when, right? And then from there, you're gonna talk about your the whole plan, what went wrong, what went well, and then afterwards you're going to do kind of like a post-mortem and say, okay, what did I learn from assignment number 2 or assignment number 1? Here's what really went well, here's what really didn't go so well, right? What can I do differently the next time, okay? Now, I'm not asking for that here in your external documentation because, again, what I'm asking for is the bare minimum, okay? So, same as assignment number 1. Any questions around what I'm asking for this assignment? By the way, the rubric is down here again. Any questions? Okay, that's great. I'm going to just stop right here and stop the recording, and then we'll go to part 2.